Hey there guys, Luke here with the Outdoor Gear Review. Hope you're all doing well. Today for this episode we have the answer portion to the question and answer part 4. I'm excited to begin addressing your questions that you guys have sent in, and we received hundreds and hundreds of questions. Thank you guys so very much. I went through and I picked out the questions that I could answer the quickest. Some of them were very specific questions that had multiple parts. And sometimes I'm just not able to go into that much detail, but maybe in the future I'll be able to do videos on some of those questions to kind of help you guys out. But really the name of this game is about speed because we have so many questions to go over. We might as well begin now. So the first question comes from Sean, and he wants to know, what is your favorite piece of equipment that you never leave home without? Honestly, there's a lot of gear that I like, and there's a lot of gear that I love. And typically on my trips out, I always mix it up. I'm always carrying something different. But there is one item that I typically carry, especially when I'm just kind of hiking around. And let me go grab that real quick. So here it is. This is my buck knife, and this is a Buck 112. It's an old knife, it's a simple knife, but it's definitely one of my favorite pieces of kit. As you can see here, my husky went ahead and chewed on this for a while. It's pretty funny. Anytime that I leave the house, she gets angry and she tears up my stuff. So if I don't leave a bone with her, she goes after my shoes, my knives, she'll go after my clothes. And it's pretty funny. She's so intelligent. She won't tear up anybody else's stuff. It's always mine. So anyway, I learned a lesson there. Always give that dog a bone before I leave the house. But yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces of kit. You guys have seen this before in a number of my videos. But this is just a very simple Buck 112 knife. The smaller version of the 110. It's definitely one of my favorite pieces. Now Rich wants to know, what type of hiking water filter do I use? Personally, I'm not really big on filters, even though there are a number of good ones out there. And really, the weight on these things has come down a great deal over the years. Personally, I like water treatment, chemical solutions. I like UV light, stuff like this. Very lightweight, very easy, very quick. That's kind of what I typically use. Now, if I was going to use a filter of some sort, there are great products from Sawyer. There's great products from Platypus. Some really nice things are out there. In the future, we will show those off and we will go over some of those options. But for me personally, I don't use filters a great deal, like I said. Six String wants to know, Luke, which method of water purification would you recommend for general efficiency, weight, and ease? I would have to go with chemical treatments such as Aquamira drops. Very simple. The wait time isn't super duper long. Very easy to use, super lightweight. Chemical treatments such as the Aquamira drops are super duper popular, especially with long distance trekkers such as on the Appalachian Trail. I mean, it takes up no weight at all, it takes up no space. It's just a great product. And for me, I mean, that's typically what I like to use. And it's a great system, has never let me down. Far West Bushcraft wants to know, do you like to fish and when is your next trip? I love to fish, but the truth is I'm not an expert at it. I do it maybe once or twice a year, and I've done that since I was a kid. So yeah, I have good luck at it. I'm not the world's best. I'm definitely not an expert by any means. But maybe later on this year, we'll have to go out and do some fishing. That would make for a pretty good video, I think. Beaker Meep wants to know, what is your policy on disclosing to your audience when a company has provided you with an item versus when you paid for it out of your own pocket? With my videos, if a company has sent in an item, I always state that fact. Now, really with the channel here, 98% of everything that you see are items that I purchased with my own money. When a company offers to send me some gear, I always make sure that they understand how the process is going to work with the Outdoor Gear Review. It's going to be a long process. Do not expect to have a review the next day. I don't do that. I shoot a preview video, I do field testing, and that will take months and months. And then I will do the review after I've gone through it thoroughly. And they also have to understand that I'm testing out a lot of gear at any given time. This takes time. That's just plain and simple. I receive no compensation from any company, ever. That's just not how I work. You know, honestly, with the outdoor community, you guys can spot BS. You guys can tell when something's not right. I know that, you know that. And really, with the outdoor gear review, it's about being honest. It's about providing real feedback on this stuff. I would never recommend anything that I truly didn't feel was a great product. Just as simple as that, really. Also, as you can see with my channel, I have very few reviews. They're very far and in between. Usually I have previews, I'll do some field testing videos, of course hiking and backpacking trips, and then every once in a while comes those reviews. And that's because I'm testing this gear out, I'm really putting it through its paces, because it's the right thing to do. I can't honestly give you guys a review and feel good about it if I haven't actually tested it out, if I don't know the pros and the cons of each piece. And that's why it takes so long for those review videos to come out. You know, when it comes to the items that I show off, I receive no compensation. And the truth is, I could care less if you buy it or not. I mean, it doesn't affect me one bit. With the outdoor gear review, we want to show options. That's what it's about. We want to talk about those options. We want to look at different price ranges, from inexpensive gear to middle range stuff to even expensive higher range stuff. That's what we want to do. It's about educating and showing off what's out there, and then you guys can decide, hey, this piece works for me, or hey, that doesn't work. There you go. Alfonso wants to know, what type of hat do I use typically? And honestly, I'm not super big on hats. I don't know, I just never have been. Sometime in the hottest parts of the summer, I'll grab a hat just to block the sun, or I might go with a buff, something like that. Okay, we have a question here. What's the best backpack for winter that can be used for multi-day spring trips and fall trips? And really, that is a very hard question to answer since there are so many unknown factors, right? Personally, I would say you need to go to a location, you need to try on packs, and you also need to take a look at the pack, take a look at the size, and then look at your gear. How much gear do you have? What size is your gear? Is that gear going to be able to fit in that pack and be able to expand and also decrease in size as you need it? So really, there's so many unknown factors right there, it's hard for me to give you a good recommendation other than go try the packs on. It's all about just finding the pack that really does suit you, your needs, and your gear. Ben wants to know, what is your favorite EDC knife? Everyday carry knife. And we have to go back to the Buck 112. This is one of my favorite knives, I have to say. And I just had this thing for so long, and it just does so very well. Now, I have to say that this knife is heavy. There's no doubt about it. It is not very lightweight. It's also a little bit of a stickler to sharpen. It's not the easiest knife to sharpen. Now, of course, you know, there's a lot of different knives out there. There's some really good makers, some really good brands, some models. But this happens to be just personally my favorite. It's not the quickest to open, but it's definitely very sturdy, very heavy. I like it. Very good quality on this. And it also has a very good price. You can usually pick these up for about 37 bucks, something like that. Now, on some trips, depending on where I'm going to be at, if I feel like, yeah, I might need a blade for defense, I will choose something that I can grab from my hip a whole lot faster and just open it up like that. So we have a question here from Go Get Your Own Gear. What are the differences between backpacking, bushcraft, and survival kits? And really, for me personally, all of my kits equal the same thing in the end. We're talking about responsibility and we're talking about survivability, no matter what the conditions are. But ultimately, the differences boil down to comfort. That's the biggest difference between backpacking, bushcraft, and survival. And you can even throw in just straight up camping in that if you wanted to. Camping for me is all about the luxuries and the comforts, having the most comfortable mattress, you know, being super duper warm and having all the good foods. Backpacking is like a step below that. You still want to have some comfort, you want to have a good pad, you want to be warm, some pretty good food, but just a step below because you're carrying less items. Bushcraft is another step below that. So you have camping, backpacking, bushcraft as far as comfort goes. With bushcraft, you're talking about doing more with less, creation. So there's usually going to be that lesser degree of comfort. Then with survival, you're talking about the least amount of comfort. You want to have all of your other bases covered. Comfort's not the priority. It's all about making it through the day, the week, so on. But oftentimes, all of those areas can be one and the same. But of course, each one of those areas have very common characteristics that intertwine. Jason wants to know, what about hammocks? Personally, I like hammocks just fine. I know that some people like to use them in the winter, and for me, that's just not my go-to shelter. Anytime that you're going out into a possible winter storm, especially if you live like in the mountains like I do, you're talking about blizzard conditions, winds 50, 60, 70 miles an hour and up, heavy snow. I mean, yeah, anything's possible. You could always carry enough gear to make it through any sort of situation if you want to. And for me, during the winter, hammocks are just not my thing. I've seen people do it before, and they carry a lot of stuff. More power to them if they want to. Simple as that. Now, in the summer, we will be doing some more camping videos, of course, and we will be incorporating some hammocks this time. I know you guys really want to see those. I've got tons of hammock gear, and I even have all 4-season hammock gear. But like I said, it's just typically not my thing. There you go. I really like to push my trips to the limit. I like going out in storms. And one thing that you very rarely see are people camping in the middle of a blizzard in a hammock. So, yeah, it is what it is. One viewer wants to know, what hobbies do I have other than what you guys have seen on the channel? I think I've gone over just about everything that I like to do hobby-wise. I love biking. I love backpacking. I mean, truly, the outdoors really is my area for hobbies. I mean, it really is. I like playing video games every once in a while. But really, the older I get, the less I am able to enjoy it. I don't know, I'm just kind of losing interest, I guess. But I do like photography. That's pretty much it. Really, outside of the outdoors, I'm a pretty boring guy. So, now, Madison wants to know, have you ever been camping with your family? Absolutely, yes. We go all the time, actually. The ladies in the house, namely my wife and my daughter, it's taken some time, and they're still working on it, kind of getting used to not having a restroom. I mean, it really is. It's so easy for a guy just to go use the bathroom. It's definitely more of a chore for a woman. So, yep. But anyway, they definitely do. They like it. This individual has a really good question. What type of backpacks do you prefer? Classic or military packs? Just about always I will go with classic. I love military stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think the tactical coolness of military packs is off the charts. I think they're very, very cool. I love them. I collect them. But when it comes for a backpacking trip, I will just about never want to grab one of those packs and take them along. And the truth is that civilian gear is good enough. The quality is definitely good enough. It's, without a doubt, a whole lot lighter. Very rarely will I ever want to grab a military pack over a civilian pack. They're just too overly built. They're just too dang heavy. And really, with military gear, it's designed to carry super heavy loads. It's made to be just absolutely bomb-proof. And really, comfort is not a major factor for those packs. Jason wants to know, what is a good fixed blade knife for camping? And you cannot go wrong with a Mora blade no matter what. Now really, there are a number of knives out there at all different price ranges too. I mean, everybody has a different opinion on what affordable is. Some people will say that a knife that costs $100 is definitely affordable. Some people will say that a knife that costs $200 is affordable. And then of course, you have individuals who don't want to pay more than $50, which is completely understandable. Mora knives are really top-notch. They're very, very sharp. Now, you're not going to be using these to be, batoning big trees and logs and stuff. But for just a typical camp knife, you really can't go wrong with them. And they're pretty lightweight, too. If you want something that's stronger, if you want to be doing some batoning and stuff, check out Becker. They make great blades. Holy Seven Roller wants to know, if I was forced into the woods with only a knife and a ferro rod, how long would I make it? And I have put some thought to this question for a while now. I don't know. There's too many unknown variables in that sort of scenario to give an accurate answer. But when it comes to surviving, very few people are able to actually go into the woods with nothing and survive for a very long period of time. You can think about Dual Survivor, that old TV show on Discovery Channel, I think it is. Back when Dave Canterbury was on that show, look at the actions that he was doing during the filming of that show. Running around, drinking water unprotected, you know, making mistakes when it comes to food, doing things that just you would not really want to do in a survival situation. And really, that just goes to show you that eventually, if you're in a survival situation, you begin to make mistakes, you begin to get desperate, super hungry, super thirsty. You know, like I said with that dual survival show, Dave Canterbury is an expert on survival. But yet, I mean, drinking water through cigarette filters, and that was ridiculous. You know, everybody knows that didn't work. Going after the honey, the bees, or whatever it was, another big mistake. So I'm just using that as an example, not really to knock Dave Canterbury. I mean, he's definitely an expert, like I said. So really, the whole thought process of running off into the woods and just surviving off the land is highly unlikely for most people. I mean, even with the experts, they make mistakes that could lead to serious issues, possibly death. So yeah, most people can't make it without supplies eventually. Some people can survive for a short period of time. Most people, even the experts, can't survive for a long period of time. Todd wants to know, what do I do and what does my wife do? I'm a web developer. I make websites. It's my own little business. I also do that in conjunction to the Outdoor Gear Review. My wife, she was an accountant for many, many years until our son, he had some health problems. I don't know if I've ever talked about those, but maybe in the future. So my wife, she stays at home. She schools my son, does an amazing job. I tell you what, I'm just so very blessed that we were able to work that out financially so that she can stay at home and be with my son and give him the environment that he needs. I mean, like I said, very, very blessed. In the future, the Outdoor Gear Review will more than likely be my primary work. We're already kind of going in that direction. The channel has just absolutely exploded. And I appreciate it, of course, guys. Thank you all so much. Fred here wants to know, what is a nice waterproof jacket for winter that's not heavy? What I recommend, my friend, is this. I would go find a good quality, inexpensive rain jacket. It doesn't have to be a hard shell. It doesn't have to be Gore-Tex. You don't have to spend $500 on one. You can find a good rain jacket for prices between like $50 and $100. Get something that's non-insulated. That way you can layer underneath it. You basically want that shell to protect you from the moisture. And that's it. You want to be able to block the wind. That's it. Underneath that, you want to put on your fleece, your shirt, layer for the conditions. That way, you can use it in all seasons, all year round. Enjoy the benefits of the waterproofness, the windproof, and you can also wear it summer, winter, so on. That is what I recommend, my friend. XFATSX1991 wants to know, if you were forced into the armed forces, what branch would you join? I have no idea. I say if they need me, if they're going to force me into doing it, put me where they need me, let's go. This individual wants to know how my mother-in-law is, and I appreciate you guys for keeping her in your thoughts and prayers. She's not doing very well. Her health has really gone down over the last couple of months. Basically, her body's just shutting down, and I'll tell you what, it hasn't been a pleasant experience for her. So, yep, that's just how it goes, right? I appreciate you guys, again, keeping her in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you all so much. This individual wants to know, how do you not get your ass handed to you by your wife for all the gear that you buy? And that is a great question. So my answer is, simply, I'm a gentleman and I can't kiss and tell. Okay, so our last question is, who taught you your bushcraft skills? And really, my skills come from just simple, hands-on experience. You're talking about over 30 years worth of experience of being out in the woods. I mean, it really, since I was a young kid, I mean, if we weren't in school, my brother and I, as soon as the sun came up, we had to be outside. Come back home when the sun is going down. That's our childhood. So, I mean, we spent our time up in the woods. We built forts, we built all sorts of stuff, shelters, made paths through the woods. That's how I grew up. We didn't have electronic anything back then. And like I said in some of my previous videos, I mean, we were really, really poor. We didn't have toys, nothing like that. So our times were spent outside with rocks and sticks and water and limbs and trees. That was my childhood. That's where all of my experience comes from. And as I grew up, even into a young man, that time that I spent outdoors has stuck with me. I mean, it's in my heart. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I have an incredible desire just to be outside. I love being outdoors. So there you go. That's where my experience comes from. So folks, I want to say to everybody who submitted a question, thank you all so very much. Guys, I definitely appreciate it. In the future, we will have part 5. So if I didn't answer your question now, maybe I'll answer it then. If you guys have any questions, please feel free. Drop me a line. Let me know. I'll do my best to address them. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. I will definitely see you guys around. Everybody, take care. Be well.